make a move in the ring. You can hit me with a word you fling.
How's it going, everybody? It's the post-fight podcast. Nicholas Atkin here in Hong Kong, scmp.com/MMA South China Morning Post. Today, I'm joined by Sasha Palatnikov over in Las Vegas, and I've got JHK in Korea as usual. We're going to be breaking down UFC Vegas 5. Guys, only one place to start that main event. Derrick Brunson defeating Edmund Charbesian, third round TKO. Sasha, Derrick Brunson just looks like a different fighter now, doesn't he, since he's joined up with Henry Hooft?
Absolutely. Ever since he moved down to South Florida, he's been on a bit of a streak, performing much better than he was, performing in the years prior. I think the Israel Adesanya fight was a big wake-up for him. And going into this fight as well, it was important for him to get this win. It was kind of like a crossroads for him. I think he was the eighth is the eighth seed at middleweight. So, a young up-and-comer like Edmund to come in and beat him would definitely affect his rise in the rankings. So now, after a big performance like that, he can definitely knock on the door and start questioning some of the top contenders in the weight class. So it was a very good performance.
John, do you think it was perhaps should have been stopped? I know he looked like he was knocked out, Edmund, after that, just as the buzzer sounded in the second round. I think very smart stoppage by Herb Dean early in the third. They gave him a chance. The doctor looked at him. Was the right thing done here?
Yeah, it's hard to say, because if you watch the post-fight press conference, Brunson actually addressed that and said, if the referee came in and stopped that fight in the second round, there would have been no chances of him maybe even coming back. And that's from the winner, the guy that won the fight. He's saying that. So I kind of agree with him about that. Could have been stopped in the second round? Yeah, definitely. If you look at him, he when he leaned back, he just was, off his rocker. Like he didn't know what he was doing. He took a beating, man. Those elbows. Oh, look at that. I think he was knocked out right there. Mm-hmm. Right at that moment before he rolled over, it almost seemed like he knocked out and Brunson woke him up with that last punch. But what can you do? You know what I mean? Like, and who's the ref today again? It's Herb Dean, what Herb Dean keeps running into these problems, man. But I love Herb Dean. I think he's a great ref, and he allowed Shahbazyan to, try to come back in that third, and he just couldn't, man. And he stopped it at the right moment before he could take any more damage. He just looked like he but Shahbazyan's tough as hell, man. Like, he went in there and unloaded the gas tank and still took all those shots and hung on, man. He didn't tap out or nothing like that. So it shows you that he has that grit, but this fight exposed him in many areas. Like, if a guy comes in with a decent defense in the striking, department and good, takedowns, they could probably go in there and beat Shahbazyan. He kind of moved up the ranks real quick, and he does have a highlight reel of knockouts and all that. But man, I think that this is the buzzsaw that he needed to run into to kind of wake up and suffer his first loss. There was a lot of hype behind him, and there's still going to be hype going forward. He's an exciting prospect. He's only 22 years old, I believe, or 21. So it's like the sky's the limit for him, and I'm excited to see what he can do in his next fight. I don't think they should put him against a top 15 guy, though. I feel like they should get him against a guy that is about to enter the top 15, on the verge of that. What do you think, Sasha? Do you think they should put him in there against another line in that top 15, or should they take their time with him?
Yeah, I think exactly that they need to take their time with him. He's 22 years old. He's got so much room, to grow for the UFC, and he could be a star for the company. Absolutely. He's already been there. He's been on, like, as they said, with Ronda Rousey. He's been there in that environment. You can tell he's a very calm and he's fully aware of what he needs to do. So I think a fight like this is going to be a good wake up. Having your first ever loss, it does a lot, and I think he'll come back stronger from it. And in terms of his next opponent, someone like Brandon Allen, like a big and up and coming middleweight as well, young and up and coming, I think would be a good challenge for him, and it would be an exciting fight for the fans as well. Because like you said, throwing him in at the Lions now, it wouldn't be getting him in a couple losses in a row would maybe affect his morale, his mentality. So getting him back in with a fair level fight where he can get back in the win column and then get some momentum and then potentially challenge again a top contender. Because right now, as you can see, Brunson being more well-rounded for MMA, especially tonight with his striking and wrestling. He put it together really well, working off of the clinch. You could see every time that they broke from a clinch, Brunson was landing elbows, he was landing strikes, and you could tell Brunson's not the most technical, but he came in strong, he came in shape, and like you said, when you start mixing up the wrestling in there, you could see that Edmund was kind of a little bit one-dimensional. But like I said, I think Edmund is a definite future champ. He could definitely challenge, so definitely we'll see him down the road for sure.
Guys, what do you think about Brunson then? If you look at the people he's lost to, it's who's who of guys in the division who there's not really a weak loss on there. Do you think now he deserves a crack at maybe Jack Hermansson or something, John? Would that be a good fight?
No, I don't think they would put him against Hermansson. Hermansson is probably going to wait for another big name, even though it's all matched up right now. I think Hermansson sits back. I don't think he'll accept a fight against Brunson. Brunson would be good against, let's say, a Kelvin Gastelum. He's ranked number 7, or even Darren Till at number 6. Both those guys don't have fights. I know Darren Till seems to be injured, or he's going to have surgery on his knee, or I don't know exactly the status on that. But I feel like either of those guys would be a good matchup for Brunson. They're ranked ahead of him, and Brunson's coming off 3 straight wins. So why not? Why not put him against one of those guys? And they have big names, and those would be big wins on his record.
Yeah, look at this praise from Izzy. Obviously, Adesanya beat Brunson, but as I said at the beginning, I think Brunson has really just taken it to another level lately. Anyway, we should move on the card. Sasha, this one we'll throw to you first, because obviously you're training out of Syndicate in Las Vegas. Maya defeated Calderwood by a first-round armbar. Jojo had a title shot locked up, and now that's gone. But even more important is, I think she fainted after the fight. Can you just talk us through what happened?
I mean, all I've heard is probably the same that everyone else has heard. She's been rushed to the hospital. I hope she's okay. I hope everything is fine. Yeah, I mean, it was an unfortunate situation, obviously, for her to lose the fight. She took the fight on short notice as well. I think it was less than 2 weeks. But she was itching to fight, and the champ had injuries to recover from. So she just, she wanted to get back in there. She wanted to compete. So she took the risk, and unfortunately it didn't go her way. Credit to Maya. She came out aggressive. And she caught her. I mean, she was off her back, and she caught her in an armbar, and, the cage blocked her, and she got it done. And sometimes that's, sometimes short notice things like that happen. And one thing, you have a title shot lined up, and then you take that risk, and now you're back in line. You got to go back to the end and start again. So, with any loss, you just got to kind of regroup, and then just get your stuff back together, and then just look to get that next fight. And then her being here in Vegas, I'm sure a fight won't be far away. I mean, everyone's here now, so hopefully she'll recover quickly. I hope everything's good with her health, and likewise with Trevin Giles, and just make sure everything is good, because fainting, I haven't really heard that happening a lot at events. We heard recently what happened with Corey Anderson. So, we have to, keep our eyes out and definitely try to see what's going on with that, because this is kind of new, at least from what I've ever seen in watching, MMA events. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, we hope JoJo's fine. John, though, what about Maya? Where does this put her? Interesting tweet from the champ. She says, "See you soon, Valentina." So it looks like this might be the next fight.
In the post-fight presser, Dana White came out and said that Maya is next in line.
All right.
For Shevchenko. Who knows when Shevchenko is going to be back? I think she's still recovering from that leg injury. She had surgery. So the timeline is is undetermined. So I don't know. I don't, this flyweight division is very confusing because there's never a clear cut number one contender. And before this, it was supposed to be Calderwood fighting Shevchenko, and then Calderwood took the chance. She lost. Maya looked great. She came out, and I thought Calderwood would have the advantage on the feet, but Maya came out striking Calderwood somewhat and landing the harder shots, and that's why Calderwood took Maya to the ground to test it, and then Maya got that armbar submission. Maya, I don't, it's like, does she deserve a title shot? I don't know, because in her last fight she missed weight and then lost, and then she came into this fight and beat Calderwood. So can you get a title shot off one win? I guess you can, because in the UFC, you could get a title shot off a loss. So it's very confusing. And would I look forward to seeing Maya fight Shevchenko? Sure. But I feel like even Calvillo beating Jessica I would be, warrant enough to take on Shevchenko next. Why not? At least Calvillo has a couple wins in a row. That looks better than just one win against Calderwood.
Yeah.
All right, let's move down the card then. Only 4 fights on this main card. We'll get to the reason why. I think we mentioned it already, but Vicente Luque getting a second round TKO over Brown. This was very crafty, wasn't it, Sasha? The knee. Look at it, the way, he keeps his hands away from the mat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. There was like, at that moment where the knee landed, I'm sure a couple people thought, oh, maybe it was illegal, maybe he had his hands down, but he definitely reached down there. But Vicente did enough to keep his head up, and his hands weren't able to touch the mat, and it was a perfectly landed knee. And it was interesting going into this fight. Randy Brown was very confident, saying that he would be a stylistic matchup and a nightmare for Vicente. But, Vicente got to work early on those legs. He took out the lead legs so early. I think he honestly looked like he landed 20 to 25 leg kicks in the first round. And, from that, it already affected Randy Brown's jab. And, and systematically Vicente was able to just kind of break him down. And you could just see, the level of striking was evident. Vicente eventually wore him down and landed that big knee and finished him off. And, it was another, strong performance from Vicente, fighting someone just outside of the top 15. So that also puts him in a position now. I mean, I know he fought Wonder Boy, but, he's got I think he's knocking on the door for another, maybe top 8, top 7, in the division. Yeah, and like he's also stateside, so he's even got the potential to fill in for someone, short notice too. So I would definitely consider him kind of a dark horse in the welterweight division, because, man, he's just got very, very good striking, and he's dangerous on the ground. He's got great submissions too. And going at the fight with Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy is one of the most technical strikers on the planet. So it just shows you, the level where he is. So it will be interesting to see how he unfolds, because he's coming off of that loss. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, John, it's another one of Henry Hoof's guys, right? One of the best coaches out there, surely.
There's no doubt about that. He's one of the best out there. He's on the list of the next generation of coaches that are getting their shine in the UFC and just worldwide. Luque, he's seemed like he's known to fans as this brawler that goes into these wars, but really, if you look at this fight and his last fight, he shows a lot of fight IQ, man. Especially this one where he lifted Brown up and hit him with the knee, and almost Brown took a couple shots. It looked like he was done after that knee. He took a couple shots that might have been unnecessary, but it is what it is. Luque, he's incredible, man. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever talk to, but he's a monster in that cage. If you look ahead in the rankings, I see RDA's name that pops out. He's ranked number 9. Luque's number 11. RDA doesn't have a fight. You need to put that fight together. What are they waiting for? I think that's a perfect test for Luque, because RDA is a all around fighter. You know what I mean? He can fight standing up. He could go to the ground. He has great submissions, and he's a former champion. And that's what Luque needs. He needs to win against a former champion, and that's going to be big for him. That could be a main event on one of those little Vegas Fight Night cards, like the one we just watched today. That could happen, in the next 2-3 months. I don't see why not. Luque looked incredible. Brown, he's still up and comer too, man. He's only lost to the best guys, though. You gotta look at it, man. He kind of comes up and fights one of the guys in the top 15, and he loses, builds himself back up, and then he fights another guy in the top 15, like he did today against Luque. He lost. He's gonna go back and learn, and I think he needs to make an adjustment because his training camp wasn't the best leading up to this fight in New York. He was very limited in training partners, and his team is not that big of a team. I think that he could benefit from like cross training with one of the big teams. And you know what he told me in the interview leading up to this fight was that he was thinking about going out to New Zealand and training with Israel and the team out there at City Kickboxing. And I think that's a great idea. I think he could benefit from that. And I would like to see him do that, man, because he has that long, linky striker style with good boxing, and he could benefit from that training with like the likes of Dan Hooker, very long, linky, and Israel Adesanya, very long, linky strikers, man. It would be a beautiful thing. I want to see that happen.
All right, what about this one? This was bumped up to the opener after Trevin's incident. We'll talk about it in a minute, but yeah, Bobby Green defeating Orlando Veneta by unanimous decision. This was fight of the night. Those guys got a bonus. Sasha, this was just a great scrap, wasn't it?
Yeah. I had, going into this fight, I was actually looking forward to this. These guys fought back in 2017, I believe, and it was a draw. But that was because of an illegal knee, I believe, Veneta landed. But they wanted to throw back, this grudge match, and it was just a barn burner from the get-go. They were both going at it, trying to land big shots. They both dropped each other in the first round. Bobby Green actually dropped him twice. It was a great fight, back and forth. They were talking trash while hitting each other. They were, like one guy would make a shot and he's like, yeah, that didn't land. It landed on my elbow. He's like, it did land. And then the next guy would land a shot and, he would eat it. So it was comical and it was an entertaining fight. Bobby Green was sharper tonight and he looked really good. I watched him when he fought Clay Guida and I thought, man, Bobby's got 35 fights. And I thought he looked really sharp. And I know now he's training with, there's another fighter on the card on the prelim. I think his name is Josh Emmers. They train with Darian Caldwell, so they have quite a sick team that they train together, and I think they're all doing very well in terms of their career, in terms of winning fights. So they're running on a good victory streak themselves, and it showed tonight. Like I said, Bobby Green looked really good, and like I said, 50K is deserved. He's going to pay off his house. That's what he said after the fight. He's going to pay off his house, and well deserved. It was an awesome fight. I'd love to see them fight again.
Yeah, John, what do you think's next for Bobby? What would you do if you're Dana and the matchmakers?
Man, if I had Dana's shoes on, I would put him against Rafael Fiziev or Brad Riddell. I think those fights would be incredible because one thing about Bobby Green, he's not afraid to stand there and trade with, any kind of power puncher. If you've watched his fights, he will go there with his hands down and slip and rip. And I think that would turn into an incredible matchup with, Rafael or Brad Riddell, both up and coming lightweights. Man, I think a lot of people forgot about Bobby Green, man. He's fought the best of the best during his career. Dustin Poirier, Edson Barboza, guys like that. He's fought them, Drakkar Klose, Francisco Trinaldo. Those are guys that are monsters in the division, and he's fought all those guys. But I think that those losses have helped him, and now he's kind of putting it all together. I think mentally he's in a better place, and man, he has hell of a chin too. So I think that will take him a long ways with the skills that he has already. I feel we're going to be talking about Bobby Green more and more as the events go along, and he's going to get better matchups and more exciting matchups. Lando Veneta, that's the question. That's the big question. And where does Lando Veneta go from here, man? Because I think he just recently signed an extension with the UFC, but he's also, won one, lost one, won one, lost one for the last couple of years. And I guess that will keep you around in the UFC. But, going into these fights with all these long drawn out wars that Lando gets into, I don't know if it's good for his health. Maybe he needs to change up his routine. I don't know, just a suggestion, but he's always going to be in exciting fights, and I would like to see him face I don't even know who he can face. He needs to face somebody that he can. I guess he has a better chance at beating, so he could kind of build his confidence and maybe go drop down to the lower tier of the UFC and fight some of those guys and give them a chance to build their name off of him.
All right. Well, yeah, it was a very short card, as we mentioned earlier, because of this. Trevin Giles fainted before the first fight on the main card when he was just about to come out against Kevin Holland. The bout was scrapped eventually. Sasha, it was just a bit of a doomed card, wasn't it, from the beginning? We've had so many cancellations for various reasons. Where do you begin? Yeah, Holly Holm and Aldana was meant to be the main event, of course. Even on this fight, there was something's falling over behind me. You talk while I fix that. Sorry.
It's after having 15 fights on the card in Abu Dhabi. I guess the MMA gods had to punish us here in Vegas. But no, I mean, this card, had, I think John mentioned earlier, 12 fights, fall out. So it's more than the actual amount of fights that played out this evening. And literally, I think we're supposed to have 9 and only 7 made it through this evening, with Mearshart and Herman being canceled due to COVID test. And then, of course, Trevin Giles fainting before coming out, literally before walking out to the arena. So, I mean, the information that was given was he was okay. He, woke up with his own will and power to get up and was willing to fight, but the Nevada State Athletic Commission scrapped the bout, for the right purposes. They wanted to make sure that he was healthy, and so they took him to hospital. So I'm sure we're going to find out, more information in the next maybe 24 hours, 48 hours, and see what is reported from that. It's unfortunate for Kevin Holland, I'm sure, but he was already quick on Twitter asking to fight Ed Herman, the light heavyweight, saying, hey, why don't we fight? But obviously it didn't end up, there we go. It didn't end up happening, but, that was pretty funny to see that. And, he was game to get it done, but I'm sure he'll get a quick turnaround. They'll probably, put him in the next card that they have going on next week or something. We'll see what they do for him. I hope they're able to take care of him, because that must be the worst. I mean, I couldn't imagine. You're wrapped up, you're ready to go, you're just about to walk out, and then they're just like, yeah, you're not fighting. Your opponent passed out. You're like, wait, what? You know what I mean? It really must be a serious hit to the mind. You're just like, whoa, you got to turn everything down. Your adrenaline and everything is just like, whoa, wait a second, and hopefully he gets a win bonus. I don't know. Does he get paid? I really don't know how that works.
I think Dana said he'll get some money, not
the full
money. Yeah, that was at the post-fight press conference. But John, what can you do in this situation? It's just the UFC. You can't blame them, can they? It was still a pretty entertaining card, I thought.
Yeah, it was very entertaining. The main card was incredible. Very underrated, and it came out and performed. All those guys, Green, Venata, Luque, Brown. Maya came in and got the upset. Brunson, he got the upset actually too, because he was the major underdog in that fight. Stuff like that. That's what MMA is made for. It's just unpredictable. And this card is the perfect example of MMA. Unpredictable. The fights are unpredictable. The fighters are unpredictable. The results are unpredictable. If you look at it, this going back to what you guys were saying about fights falling out, there was on Thursday morning, there was Marcus Perez, Eric Spicely, Trevin Giles, Kevin Holland, Jared Mearshart, Ed Herman, Ray Borg, and Tamir Valeev they're all scheduled to fight. None of them fought tonight. That's crazy, right? Like on Thursday morning, they were in Vegas ready to fight, and none of them fought. That's insane. Like how, things can switch, and most of it was not really due to COVID. It seemed like, it was just due to other factors. So you can't really go in here and tell everybody like, oh, COVID, ruined this card. It didn't. There was other factors going on. Don't be, what do you call it? A conspiracy theorist out there, the MMA conspiracy theorist. Yeah, man. If this card stayed together, it would have been incredible, but it didn't. And the UFC adjusted, and the cards the fights that were the best matchups, they stayed on and they performed, and we got to enjoy and be entertained. Kevin Holland, his management said that he's going to stay in Vegas, and next week they're going to get him a fight. Oh, maybe they're going to fly in, what's his name? Chai, what's that guy's name? The guy that's all hyped right now?
Kamzat. Yeah.
Yeah, Kamzat. Maybe they're going to fly in Kamzat to face Kevin Holland. Wouldn't that be a story, right? Wouldn't that be a crazy roller coaster for both these fighters?
In a couple weeks.
Yeah, well, Dana said he likes Kamzat. He thinks he's the real deal, and this guy wants to fight every weekend. He's going to make it happen. So that could happen. But what do you guys think of the prelims? Sasha, we'll start with you. Just pick out any highlights you had from that.
The Chris Gutierrez, the draw. What was the name of his fighter?
Cody Durden.
Cody Durden, that's right. Yeah, so that was a debut for Durden. He came out, he was a wrestler. He came out, super high energy in the first round, gunning for the takedown, got the takedown, took the back, and I think he landed like 36 strikes or something like that to 1 in the first round. And, everyone was saying, oh, it's a 10-8, it's a 10-8. And then rounds 2 and 3, Gutierrez was able to keep it standing and was essentially picking him apart, looked dangerous, striking, and, his opponent really just couldn't keep up with him striking wise. As soon as he kept it standing and could shut down all of his takedowns, it was just, in my opinion, a very one-sided fight. But because of that first round, a lot of people said it was a 10-8, and it ended up being a draw. And, for me, when someone is like desperately shooting for takedowns and not able to get them, and then, essentially getting punched in the face, and, you can see it here in this clip. Second and third round, it was a lot like this, and Chris Gutierrez was in control for those rounds, in my opinion. Sometimes in MMA, you make a mistake, or you make a small error and someone takes it back, and, sometimes you're like, all right, I'm going to throw that round out, and then I'm going to come out in second round and win the second and third round, because, that's how the fight was going to go. And that's pretty much what I think Gutierrez did. So for them to give it a 10-8, in my opinion, again, it's just my opinion, I wouldn't have scored it 10-8. I would have scored it 10-9, controlled the fight, controlled the position, and landed like little pity patter shots, not enough to, end the fight or hurt him. So that's just my opinion on that. But I thought it was overall a really good fight. I think Chris Gutierrez is definitely an exciting fighter coming up in the 135 division. He's got very good striking, and I would definitely recommend keeping an eye out for him in the future. Yeah.
John, any thoughts on that one, or have you got another fight from the prelims to pick out for us?
Oh, piggybacking off what Sasha was saying about Chris, he is definitely a prospect in that division, and he was coming off a major knee surgery too. I thought he performed very well coming off that injury, that surgery. And a little plug, I'm going to be interviewing him in the next couple of days to get his thoughts and dissect that win a little bit more, because it was a draw, something that is not common in MMA, or at least in the UFC. But I think that draws should be more common, because sometimes there is no winner. The fights are just so damn close it's just hard to pick a winner. And I feel like in those fights, I don't see nothing wrong with the draw, or have an extra round, especially if it's a 3-round fight. Have an extra round, and then you can determine the winner for sure. Because, there's too much controversy with these decisions a lot of the times. But that's just my idiotic brain thinking out loud. Another great performance on the prelims was Jonathan Martinez. He missed weight by like 4.5 pounds, but he came in there and completely dominated with the front, with the teep to the stomach, hurting Frankie Saenz really bad, and the kicks and the head kick, dropped him with the head kick. It was a really, really great performance because, you know, he was coming off that fight against Andre Ewell where a lot of people felt like he was completely robbed, man, and he lost a lot of money because of that, because he lost his win bonus. And in this fight also, he missed weight, got a knockout, could have probably got a performance bonus, but he can't get it because he missed the weight. But he had an incredible performance. And also another plug, I'll be talking to him too and talking about why he missed weight and his performance that he had. But it was a great fight. I felt like they probably could have. It was a weird sequence, I think, at the end of the second round where he dropped him, and then like Frankie Saenz went to his back and almost looked like he was out of it, but I guess he wasn't. But it was a weird sequence of events right there. You know, I'm pretty sure a lot of people were screaming like, "Stop the fight! Stop the fight!" I think I saw people writing that on Twitter. But nowadays, everybody's stop the fight. Yeah, Dan Hardy was screaming from the rooftops of from wherever he lives and drinking tea and eating crumpets and all that, right? So Nick knows about that. Nick's from the, you know, he's from the land. So yeah.
Tea
Anyways,
and crumpet
yeah, we got to get that in, Nick. You know, I mean, I've never had tea and crumpet, so you know, next time we see each other,
oh, you're missing out.
Bring your best.
Bring your best snack. Yeah, I will. I got some tea right now. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Well, that's about it, guys. Unless you wanted to talk about the other fights. When's UFC back? Is it 2 weeks? Am I correct?
Is there an event next week, or is it?
Oh God, I'm losing track of everything. We got Derrick Lewis. Yeah, next
Contender Series. Contender Series is back. You know what I mean? And shameless plug, I got Contender Series interviews all day, every day. So go to my page and peep those out because there's some interesting dudes on there, man. They've been through some shiznit, right, in their careers, and there's a lot of guys that are you know, 10 years deep, and they're getting their chance on the Contender Series. I love those stories, man, where they didn't give up and now they're fighting some like prospect that won like 10 fights and they're like 20 fights deep, 10 years in the game. Man, those are the stories that, and also like Dana White was saying after the show, he's saying that now the Contender Series is being streamed in Canada and in so many other countries. So like a lot of these guys that never got that huge exposure, they're getting that exposure with the Contender Series, and it's time to you know, shut up and show up, I guess, for all these fighters. And it's gonna be fun, man. I'm gonna be watching all of those Contender Series. It runs all the way to October, so if you're watching this, you better watch the Contender Series because those are the next generation champions right there.
When is that first Contender Series card? Sorry, John. Do you know?
This week, Tuesday. Or
Tuesday,
Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, Tuesday there, Wednesday morning here.
Okay. And then we have Derrick Lewis against Oleinik on Saturday in Vegas. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, it just never stops, does it? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, guys. Yeah, well, appreciate it, John. Appreciate it, Sasha. Always love your analysis, and I'm sure I'll see you again. Maybe we'll talk about the Contender Series. Otherwise, maybe next Sunday in Asia, Saturday for Sasha over in Vegas. Yeah, go check out Sasha on on Instagram and Twitter. John is JHK MMA, Kumite TV on YouTube. All those interviews he was plugging. John's always got the content you need.
Hey guys, Sasha Palatnikov here, letting you know to tune in to SCMP Post Fight for all your weekly martial arts news.